What if Darth Vader from A New Hope switched bodies with Anakin from Attack of the Clones? Hello everyone, I am Random Thew. I like to make random videos, and for today's random video, we're gonna hop right into this scenario that I thought of. It's pretty cool. Our story begins with Darth Vader waking up in a very different location than what he is accustomed to. He is in his old living quarters in the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. It was dark. Immediately, he can feel that his body is different. He does not feel his suit around him, and looks at his hands to see that they are both there, neither robotic. He assumes this is simply another one of his unceasing nightmares, where he would be in his younger self and imagine the things he would do differently, only to wake up and realize that the hell he is in is very much real. Such a cold realization had happened 1,000 times before, and he was certain this was nothing more than the same. He closed his eyes and tried to will himself awake, yet to no avail. As the time passed, nothing he tried would wake him from this nightmare. Yet this felt more real than any other dream he had ever had, with the exception of his dreams of visions of the future. Darth Vader was not content with believing for even a second this fantasy was real, no matter how convincing it was and how impossible it seemed to be to awake himself. He decided to close his eyes and try to sleep in this dream, certain he would awake in reality, or at least a different nightmare than this. Sure enough, Vader had a nightmare of his mother in danger, dying in that tent after being enslaved and tortured by the Tusken Raiders. It was the exact same premonition he had back when he was young, before it actually happened. He awoke once more, feeling no extreme emotional reaction to such a nightmare. One he had relived dozens of times, and long since become steeled against the pain of the grief, channeling it to fuel its dark prowess in the Force. Yet, he was once again in his room, at the Jedi Temple. Once more, he was in his young, undamaged body. Still determined that this was a facade, Vader tried to sleep once more. Yet each time he awoke, he was back in the same place. Darth Vader started to become suspicious. This was something different from a normal dream. He got up and decided to go for a walk through the temple. Everything was just as he remembered it. The Jedi Temple guard stood watch. Everything felt so real. Vader came to a balcony that opened into the fresh night air, and a full moon bathed him with its glow. He stared up at it. He could feel the coolness of the air on his skin, the sensation of a slight breeze. He looked up at the moon in contemplation, a cold glare of rage on his face. This was almost worse torture than reliving his mistakes. If anything was more painful than despair for Vader, it was hope, the smallest hope that he kept locked away in the deepest recesses of his being, hope of redemption. And that tiny flame of hope flickered ever so gently at the prospect of a second chance to do things differently. The rage within him grew and burned coldly, as he wondered why was he stuck in a nightmare like this for so long, and why his mind would torture him with such false hope that seemed so real. Was this the work of his master? Perhaps Sidious was testing his apprentice, toying with him, trying to teach him another lesson by forcing him into such a vision. Or perhaps the Force itself was giving Vader some sort of prolonged vision. But Vader was determined to not humor either of those two parties by giving in to their tactics. He gained composure and calmed his rage, his expression becoming more stoic. Lord Vader would not allow himself the indignity of trying desperately to wake himself from this nightmare anymore after having tried so many times and failing. Whatever this nightmare was, whatever this facade was, he was determined to not lose his composure. Surely, after enough time had passed, this nightmare of forced simulation would end, and he was determined to bide his time with dignity and composure. He returned to his room and meditated the night away. When dawn came, he meditated all the longer. Eventually, after a number of hours had passed, he heard a knock on his door. "Anakin, I know that sometimes you need your beauty sleep, my young apprentice, but this borders on the extreme, don't you think?" Vader maintained his meditation. He would not allow this facade to perturb him one iota. "Anakin, please, spare me the indignity of opening this door." Darth Vader inhaled ever so slightly. If this was how Sidious or the Force or some pathetic part of his subconscious wanted to play this game, so be it. He would not only play along with this game, he would win it. He would live out this fantasy as if it was just another memory, and act exactly as he used to act. He would not lash out in any extreme of giving in to his wrath and slaughtering the Jedi once more, nor would he give in to some pathetically hopeful desire for a second chance to fix his mistakes, as he had so many times in his dreams before. He knew well and good how to mask his power in the dark side of the Force, having been the apprentice of a Sith Lord for over 20 years who managed to mask his power in the dark side from the Jedi seamlessly. Vader came to the door and opened it. "Sorry, Master. I'm a growing boy and I need plenty of food and rest if I'm going to become as strong as you one day. Speaking of which, did you bring me any food?" As the voice of Anakin Skywalker, Jedi Padawan, left his lips, Darth Vader gave a most convincing and sly smirk as he looked at Obi-Wan Kenobi before him. Having long since conquered and honed his rage towards his old master, he felt at ease putting on his little act to toy with whatever pathetic conductor of the simulation was. Besides, as convincing and real as the man standing before him was, he was no more real than a hologram. When he met the real Obi-Wan again, the circle would be complete, and this time Vader would be the master. Obi-Wan gave a wry smirk and shook his head in disapproval. "If you want food, my Padawan, you'll be disappointed to learn that I am your master, not your butler, and you'll have to retrieve your food yourself. But that'll have to wait till later. It's far past time for your morning training exercises, and you've missed your window of opportunity for breakfast," Obi-Wan said as he began to walk away. "That's all right, Master. I am not hungry anyways," Vader said in a light tone as he followed Obi-Wan, remembering the playful and pathetic banter he used to have with his former master. In the training sessions with Obi-Wan, Vader did his best to hold himself back and replicate the fighting style he once had, knowing full well he had the skill with the lightsaber and strength in the Force to easily defeat and destroy this much younger and less experienced Obi-Wan. The rest of the day would play out as Vader remembered, a day full of training, Jedi meditation, incessant lectures from the self-proclaimed wise Jedi masters and council members. Vader did his best to maintain his calmness and performance as the hours passed, despite being partially surprised at how long this forced simulation on his mind had lasted. He was determined to outlast the patience of whoever was maintaining it. Surely, something would slip eventually. Something out of place would happen, for maintaining such a detailed facade for so long would certainly prove difficult even for his master Darth Sidious. As the day came to a close, Obi-Wan said to him, "Well, despite the late start, your performance today was adequate." All right. It was more than just adequate. You've learned a lot, Anakin, and you're growing into a fine Jedi. I know that our duty on Ancion was a tiring mission, so I'm willing to have a little more understanding than usual for your sleeping in so late. But still, that was far too long, Anakin. Listen to me, you may be the chosen one, but you'll only realize your full potential if you apply the wisdom and discipline that is necessary. Obi-Wan gently rested a hand on Anakin's shoulder in sincerity. His tone was that of the caring, although condescending, master Vader remembered him to be. Yet Vader could tell he did genuinely have faith in the young Padawan, Anakin, and in his potential. And how right he was of the potential he had. If he only knew the power of the dark side, that with this young body and his higher midichlorian account, if Vader were to throw aside his mask as Anakin and give Obi-Wan a full demonstration of his power in the dark side, he could crush him like the insignificant insect he was and is. I know, Master. You're right, as always, Vader said in that pathetic, humble, and submissive tone he used to have with that old fool. Obi-Wan patted Vader's shoulder and smiled. All right, that's enough lecturing for one day. I'll see you first thing in the morning. Obi-Wan started to walk away, and as he did so, he turned around and pointed at him. And I mean first thing in the morning, Anakin. Vader smiled and then turned and entered his room, an expression of stoic composure once more replacing his face as he tossed aside the mask of Anakin Skywalker. Although never in his life had Vader experienced anything quite like this for this length of time, he was determined, with the determination of a Sith Lord, to endure and conquer this fake Force-induced facade. Yet, as Vader crawled into bed, he realized something. Something Obi-Wan had said. Ancion. He remembered. The border dispute on Ancion. That means that tomorrow would be the day that he and his master all those years ago had learned of the assassination attempt of Padme Amidala and were assigned to be her protectors. Vader refused to think any more about this. He used all his skills of meditation, the Force, and his steeled mind to push the thoughts out of his mind. The thoughts that this could not only be a second chance to start his life over, this could be a second chance to start his entire relationship with Padme over again. A second chance to save his mother. Vader fought off such feelings and closed his mind off into a state of blackness, and would soon drift off to sleep, more tired than he realized, from spending the entire day putting on a performance as the young, naive Padawan he once was. Thanks for listening, guys. I really enjoyed making this, and if you want to hear part 2, then let me know. Comment, like, subscribe, and let me know if you have any other specific what-if scenarios you want me to cover, or if there's any other random ideas you have for me. Since again, this is Random View, and I make videos about random stuff, so it's not just what-if videos. So, thanks for watching, and I hope your day is absolutely incredible, or your night, or your afternoon. And I wish you peace and joy. See ya.